Hi, let's talk a little bit about business school. If you're in your mid to late 20s, there's a good chance you either thought about business school or you might be already applying. But I want to talk just quickly about my journey to attending a full-time 2-year program and sort of what were some of the variables that made me decide to take that leap. So I started my application journey in 2017. At the time I was in Boston, I was working in consulting, I was very happy, I loved my company that I was working for, and I was long-term at a client that I really, really loved. And I started to think, gosh, in my consulting role, I really could be sent to any client at any time. And if I'm really vibing with this current company that I'm with, I kind of have two options. Either I could leave the consulting firm and go work for that company, or I could go to business school, get some new skills, and then find the right fit for me within the prototype of the company that I was really loving consulting for. And so what I ended up doing was just looking at a bunch of the profiles of the execs that I really respected at this client. And it was a global athletic brand, you all know. People from all over the world, really talented folks were coming to this company to work, and they would send out executive bios every time somebody new was hired or promoted. So every time I looked through those bios, I saw a common feature, and most of them, if not all, had an MBA, and it was typically a full-time 2-year MBA program. So that started my wheels turning. I was also feeling like I was plateauing a little bit. I didn't have anything super new and differentiating to get me to the next level to command a higher bill rate as a consultant or even take on real team leadership. I think I could have been an effective people manager without business school, but business school gave me the confidence to understand what questions to ask, understand what skills are required to tackle a complex problem that needs multiple people solving the riddle together. You know, the more I spent time thinking about that, spending time in rooms with the accountants and the marketers and the operations folks and the strategy execs, the more I realized I wanted to understand how financial decisions would impact firm strategy and vice versa. I wanted to understand where marketing investments could be most effectively deployed in order to generate new revenue. And I wanted to understand the data analytics capabilities underpinning all of that. So seeing everything across the board come together, how it flows, how it impacts each piece of a business and yields success, or at least yields answers in a time where success is uncertain. Once I realized those things, that's when I decided to sign up for the GMAT, begin the whole application journey. Ultimately, I'm so glad I did my 2-year business school program. I went to Cornell Johnson, and it was such a great fit for me because it was a small business school in Ithaca, New York. All got really close and bonded very well, and now we're a really passionate alumni network, and I still can call on any of my peers today if I need to know something that they're specialized in. I can give them a ring. It's a really tight-knit community. And then Cornell, of course, had the bigger university attached as well, so I could take classes there in more specialized areas, had access to all the speakers and the global alumni network. So that was a really incredible fit for me. A trap I think all of us fall into when we're applying to business schools is just to look at the ranking lists and see what's the most prestigious school I could attend and do away with every other factor. And I think one thing I didn't realize was that regardless of those lists and the prestige, each school has special relationships with companies that you might never think of. So, for example, Emory has incredible relationships with Delta in Atlanta. UW, University of Washington, has really tight links with Amazon and Microsoft that are local. So some of those relationships I just never would have thought of, and I think that would have made me more intentional about my school choice and less reliant just on pure play rankings or general high-level understanding that I had. For Cornell, it was a really special place in my heart already because I competed in figure skating at Dartmouth in undergrad, and I had spent a lot of time at Cornell through competitions, and the Cornell team was always so kind and friendly and welcoming, and it just felt like home every time I was there. So that honestly was a part of my decision. And then when I visited campus, the friendliness was off the charts. They were so excited for me to be there. They were really prepared, and a student that I met on the street after my interview was like, hey, I'll give you a quick informal tour, just super, super nice and approachable. And immediately felt like it was a kind MBA program, which is not something that I necessarily experienced at every program that I visited. Just something to think about. What are your values? What do you really care about? Who do you feel like you'll fit in with? And who wants you back? It's gonna be such a positive experience for you. You will get the most out of it that you possibly could. So that was my journey to business school. It's been amazing for me. I chose a career path where it paid off. Thinking about getting a high-paying job or a job that has a good structure where you get a good chunk of commission and or equity is really important, because the last thing you want to do is invest the 2 years of opportunity cost in going to business school and the money itself it takes to get to business school, and then not feel like you can comfortably pay it off, or you feel like you chose the wrong path. So in part 2, I can talk about how I paid for business school, because I paid for it all myself and I'm very proud of that. Let's discuss. What other questions do you have about business school? I'm curious.